Alright. Probably should have turned the camera on a moment ago, but when I turned the car back on, I did have the option to turn on full self-driving. If you haven't bought it, you'll only see traffic aware, cruise control, and auto steer. You won't see this third option. That has now reappeared probably from the screen I had before. Sorry for the sound of the air, it's very loud at first. Another thing I've noticed too is by default it does not turn on the rear fan when you get in. It senses if someone's in the back seat and will only turn the rear air on if someone's back there, so you kind of have to manually turn it on. I prefer to have the AC blowing in the front and the back. It's quieter, I believe it's more effective too. So I always have to toggle that. It's a little bit of a nuisance there. But back to autopilot, full self-driving. Now that that's there, I'm going to assume that it'll play nice. There's some settings here I can go over later. I won't go over them right now. Just know that there's different profiles for full self-driving. Chill, average, and assertive. It just affects how many lane changes, the maximum speed I believe that it'll do in cruise control, how frequent it'll try and change lanes to get you in a better position. So those are the kind of things that it affects. The acceleration, you know, how quickly will it get up to speed. I tend to prefer assertive, so that's what I'm going to use. I'll turn that down sometimes if it's particularly a nuisance. By the way, this button, this dial that you press in to engage, just like, you know, a joystick, like a PlayStation controller, you push in for R3, it's the same thing, but it also moves right and left. So if you push it to the right or to the left, by default, I believe, on the right hand side, which enables FSD, full self-driving, it'll change that profile. See that going to chill, average, assertive, and something I didn't even realize, it has the minimal lane changes that you can turn on right there. You have to press that though. Minimal lane changes is a temporary toggle, so even if you're driving assertive or whatever driving profile you have, if you want it to just not change lanes, you want to hang out in the right lane for the most part, not change lanes for speed or traffic, you turn that on and it'll minimize the lane changes, which is probably good in 12.3.6 because 12.3.6 has a lot of hesitation on lane changes, which hopefully I'll demonstrate later. And with that, we'll get out of here. Maybe I'm just not brave enough, but I do not turn on full self-driving until I'm out of the parking spot. We're gonna back up. I like to handle all this myself for now. And I just turn it on kind of when I'm clear of a driveway or parking lot or what have you. Probably not a bad thing. It keeps, you know, if I use full self-driving everywhere, I might forget how to drive a car. So I don't normally like to use it at this intersection. I will though. Let's see what happens. I may take over if I find it annoying. One thing I noticed about full self-driving in 12.3.6 is it tends to stop a little too short of a stop line, like right now. Kind of annoying. Yeah. I turned it off because I hit the brakes. It's very safe when it drives. And again, that was not a safety disengagement, it's a preference. But it tends to stop about a car length short of any stop line. And then it'll creep up. I should enable it. Look, I can enable it mid-turn, look at that. And then it'll like creep up and slowly, and it just takes it a long time to you know, get to the stop line. It kind of like does two stops, right? It stops a car length back, then it gets up to the stop sign, and then it's using its cameras trying to look, and that can be quite annoying. It is safe. I'm not going to say full self-driving is bad for that. You notice it's changing lanes, doing everything on its own. Full self-driving is not bad for that. It is safe, but the whole reason for this channel is to talk about how will the average drivers begin to interact with full self-driving. I totally believe it's the future. I'm a bull about it. I absolutely love it, regardless of the point of this channel probably showing more some of the nuisances than the successes. Overall, it's extremely successful, but what is it like for people to get used to it? What do you have to get used to? What is it going to do that you typically would or would not do, right? What's it going to do that you wouldn't do? What's it not going to do that you would do? That's going to be annoying. And look at that, it's hesitating getting into the turning lane. That's 1236's biggest nuisance. And if I have someone behind me, I'm much more likely to take over in that scenario. Because, real quick, I'll get on the soapbox, driving's all about expectations. The drivers around you react to your actions, right? There's expectations, there's reactions. And when FSD does a hesitation like that, the driver behind me might think, oh, he's not really going. They might zoom around. I don't like that.